to stay alive. Trying to find me shawty and make her mine. Now I'll find one in no time. With the help of my homies, I'm going out with my bros. With my
All right, bruh fans, episode 17 review time. This was the episode that was added to BET Plus September 24th. And remember, unlike BET Plus, it's free to subscribe to this YouTube channel. So if you're new, hit subscribe, help me reach 1 million subscribers. Also hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out when I post content to the channel. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And let's try to get this video to 15 likes. I think we can do that. Let me just say, this was one of the worst episodes of the season so far. I hate to say it, but this episode was the pure textbook definition of filler. There was nothing in this episode. It didn't do anything good for anyone. If nothing else, this was one of the worst Mike episodes. I mean, I think this was even worse than when he spilled a drink on the football player or basketball player that Pam was on a date on, or when drunk Mike interrupted the date that Pam had with the guy that she's at the wedding with. When they were in the restaurant together. And I think it was this time Pam who dumped the drink on Mike. I get it. This was just supposed to be a comedic filler episode, but I don't even know what to score it. Falling into fate. It's Regina's wedding day and Bill's grand gesture lands him in the hospital. Mike is surprised when Pamela shows up to the wedding with a date, and Alice tries to calm Regina's nerves. You know what? I will give this episode a 2 out of 10 because I did like the only good scene. The really good scene was at the end of the episode where Alice and Regina are talking, and Alice is telling her to make a choice that if you aren't ready to get married, then go out there and tell him. He's a nice man. He'll understand, but don't go down that aisle unless you're sure. I think that was kind of a funny contrast where Alice was calling out Regina for having cold feet, where Alice was talking about how her feet hurt wearing these shoes. And it's like, hey, you better make a choice, get out here and get married or not, which is pretty interesting. I wonder what Peter's going through right now. Is he waiting out there? Is Regina not, is she not where she's supposed to be at this time? But either way, the rest of the episode, yeah, well, it didn't do it for me. I mean, because I'm thinking like, so was this just a walk-in wedding for anyone to just show up? Like, I'm not saying Regina has animosity towards the entire bruh group, but I don't think she's ever had a scene with Tom before. I know that she obviously, confronted Mike and then John at the bachelorette party, but I don't think we've seen Tom and Regina together. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I don't think that I would want the friend group of my ex at a wedding. Unless, I was close friends with them or whatever, and they had nothing directly or indirectly to do with the breakup itself. But it just didn't make sense to me why the guys all showed up there, because as Alice pointed out, you're telling me Bill's showing up here and you three couldn't stop him. I agree wholeheartedly. And then with Mike, it's like, not only do you not go check on your friend who's in the hospital because he had an accident on the horse, but you also act in such a way where it's only been maybe a couple of hours since you and Pam were in bed together, and she told you exactly what she didn't want in her relationship, and now you're literally being the guy she doesn't want in a relationship. So I really want to get the follow up to this in the next couple episodes to see how these two work it out, but I don't see these two in a relationship. I really don't. I'll do an entirely separate video on Mike and Pam, but this was not a good Mike episode. I mean, you left your bruh hanging, and on top of that, well, then again, I will say this: it would have been hilarious as hell. I was laughing when what was it? Bill was saying he had to go pee, and he wanted John to tell him like, no, get the nurses. That's what they're here for. Okay, that was a pretty funny scene. Yeah, 2 out of 10 because that scene did make me laugh. I just like how Tom was unbothered by everything. It's like, oh, you messed up my tux. All right, well, I'll go check the X-rays, and if there's nothing wrong with you, we'll discharge you. And I'm thinking to myself, is that really a good idea? Because of the fact that, do they want to mess up this wedding? I don't know. But then Mike just shoving his way in between Pam and her date at the wedding, and nah, man, this ain't good. But yeah, not a good Mike. This was not. This was not a good episode for Mike, but at the same time, this just wasn't a good episode for anybody. This was just filler. What was it? Laura, the other worker at A&J Sandwiches, just flirting with everybody, and then, well, I would have been a bit traumatized if I was young Mike seeing naked Miss Alice or whatever, but I get it. This is a BET Plus show, so it does get a bit mature at times, but yeah. I feel like there could be a Alice spinoff. I'm not saying I want one, but I feel like there could be an Alice spinoff where young Alice is having all these crazy adventures. She probably knows Medea. But with that being said, not too much else I can say. I mean, I don't want to sit up here and rant, but this when I tell you, this was probably the least entertaining episode, and you can easily skip it because nothing happens. Except Mike is worse than. It's sad to see Mike acting this way because he's acting worse in this episode than he did when he was drunk. That says a lot. But with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in. If you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month.